I'm still waiting to get my tyres back, and hopefully it will be today. And if all goes to plan, I intend on leaving here tomorrow and doing a few stops on my way, seeing various friends before I make it to my destination in South Wales, which is a long way to go. So I'm just going to pack the camper van optimistically, bearing in mind it still doesn't have any wheels. But if all goes to plan, I'll have one more night in this room, and what a time it's been. When I think back to the first episode I did of Vintage Van Life, when I was still trying to live behind the shop in the camper, and at the time the camper was very damp and rusty, it had all the little silverfish bugs in there, and there was mould in areas, and it was all really quite nasty. And also trying to stay in a tent when the door was broken at a time of year where it was so cold, ice was forming on the inside of the tent and dripping on me through the night. Not only staying in this house and in this place and with this family has had an absolute profound help. It's been a profound help doing what I've been trying to achieve over the last couple of months. And apart from working on the camper van, one of the things that's been going on behind the scenes, as it were, was sorting out the colossal amount of possessions that I've had to get rid of. So this room was absolutely filled with boxes two times over. You could barely even get in here, I'm not even exaggerating. And either selling things, giving things away, throwing things away, or just a few items that I have kept that have gone to my parents' house. But it's kind of time to move on, and tonight, if everything goes to plan, tonight would be the last night in here, but it's been an experience and a half, to say the least. Now, at one point I did own a whole load of cars, but they've pretty much all gone now, all been sold and moved on. But there is one in particular that I do still own, which I am going to put into storage because I just didn't have the heart to get rid of it. And it's been a great little commuter, but today is the day that too has to go into storage. And here it is, my famous Peel P50. So this is the world's smallest car. It's the same as the one that Jeremy Clarkson famously drove on Top Gear. It's not the exact one. This is actually a replica, but it's exactly the same in dimensions. And it's been not only an incredible amount of fun, it's also been a very practical commuter. I thought today could be a nice opportunity, and the last opportunity for a while, to actually talk about this bizarre little car. So the Peel P50 has a 50cc DKW 2-stroke engine on the originals, but this is a replica, so it actually has a more up-to-date 4-stroke engine. Now, me being me, I would actually prefer to have an original 2-stroke engine, but on a replica that wasn't really an option, particularly within my budget. So the car's body shell is made entirely of fiberglass, which is essentially plastic, so it's never going to rust. And it's got this tiny little drive wheel back here, so everything goes through this tyre. And from my experience of actually using one of these cars as an everyday commuter, the tyre at the back here does not last long before the tread becomes so thin it has to be replaced. And this one is definitely about ready for that to happen. So on the front we have a headlight in the middle here that has full beam and dip beam. We have an indicator on both sides, and then there is a horn underneath, which only sometimes works. The Peel P50 sports what some people might describe as a suicide door, which is one that opens backwards. One of the most commonly asked questions that I get when people see me approaching this car with the key is, how on earth do you get in and out of it? So a lot of people, when they go to get in a Peel P50, they try and do it like this, and then you can't get your knees past the steering column, and it's a bit awkward, particularly if you're nearly 6 foot like me. So the way that I do it is, you get your right leg in, get your knee past the bottom of the steering wheel and go in sideways like a crab, and then you're in. And then to get out, it's just a simple case of turning sideways, getting out like that. Easy when you know how. So inside the Peel P50, it's fairly basic. At the top of the windscreen here we have this electric switch that turns the wiper on. The ignition's off at the moment. And then on the steering wheel we've got this little control panel here. So this operates the horn. That's the electric screen wash, believe it or not. And then we have the indicator left and right. And then we've got headlight on and off. And some gaffer tape because it seems to constantly shake itself to pieces. On the speedo here we've got the current mileage, which is actually a lot more than it reads because that fell apart. This vehicle has a habit of shaking itself to pieces, so the actual mechanism on the back of the wheel on the hub, which clocked in the miles and everything, fell off once and it's gone missing. And got a bit of blue tack there because underneath there is a light, an LED light that will come on blue when you're on full beam. And what happens is if you're actually driving this at night and you go on full beam, the blue light is so bright that it makes a big blue haze across the windscreen and you can't see where you're going. So a bit of blue tack sorted that. The pedal layout is actually pretty conventional. It's an accelerator, a brake, and on this one a clutch, which is like the original 60s ones. A lot of the replicas don't have clutches, they're just kind of twist and go type setups. And then to change gear we've got 4 gears, 4 forward gears, unlike the original which only had 3. And as I just mentioned, most replicas are automatics. You even get some electric ones. But this is a clicker, so instead of changing gear like first is here, second's here, third and so on, it's actually got a motorbike engine and a motorbike gearbox. So normally you'd change gear with your feet, so you'd click down for first, neutral, second, third, fourth and so on. So on this actually has a lever mechanism that has a wheel attached to the side of the gearbox that simulates your foot clicking the lever up and down. So it's more of a disc, and the cables when you pull it will go like that. So when you pull it down it goes into first, and when you push it goes back down. So it takes a bit of practice. And moving over this side we've got the choke. That's the original choke cable which broke, and a friend of mine put this one in which works. I think this one was too frayed or something, I don't know. There's the fuel tap on and off here, and then there is the electric start here, so we can give it a go. Right, so I'm pulling out the choke in my hand up here. I've got the fuel line on and I'm just going to turn the engine over. From the outside, the Peel P50 doesn't actually sound too loud, but from my experience, if you're ever driving this for any prolonged period of time, I actually wear ear defenders when I'm driving it because it's so loud when you're sitting inside this tiny fiberglass box. So I'm just going to take the Peel P50 for a nice little test drive to get you guys some footage. There's 3 things I forgot to mention about the inside. So it does actually have a handbrake, which is very handy, particularly for hill starts. This is the reservoir tank for the screen wash. And then it does have a fuel gauge of sorts. This little silver cap here mounted just on the front is the fuel filler cap. And then when we come inside, the fuel tank is actually inside this fiberglass housing with the fuel tap down here. And then it's got this plastic tube, which is the sight glass essentially, or sight plastic. So you can see the level of the fuel. At the moment it's actually full, so it's above the line, but it can be quite difficult to see. But one of the design flaws is this will get quite low, but the tap is actually mounted quite a bit higher than the bottom of the fuel gauge. So when it looks like it's only half full, it does tend to cut out. So it's good to always make sure it's topped up. Not that the Peel P50 uses much fuel in the first place. turning capabilities of this car. So although this three-wheeled car has an incredibly tight turning circle, it couldn't turn sharp enough in this drive without me going on the lawn, so I'm going to have to do some reversing in a car that doesn't go backwards under its own power. So you just simply pick it up and turn it around yourself. And that's all there is to it. Right, what's around here? What have we got today, Mum?
Well, finally we have Alex's 5 brand new tyres on the wheels, obviously. I can't even lift these, but I have been given the job to peel the stickers off the tyres, which I think I can manage.
Ah, yes.
Yes, I can.
Brilliant.
There we go.
So the wheels are now back on the vehicle and I've taken it off the axle stands. I need to load all my stuff that I'm going to take with me into the camper, as this evening I take the first step into my new lifestyle, a step into the unknown. So I've got here my beloved caravan, which is now come to a good friend of mine's house for some storage, but I just need to empty out in here what is coming with me. So for example, fridge, yes. Air rifle, no. Plush seal cushion, absolutely yes. 1920s lawnmower, no, that should probably stay. Well, the time has finally come. I'm leaving at last. Don't let me give you the wrong idea though. It's been such a pleasure staying here with this family who have looked after me so well and had endless amounts of patience with the quantity of stuff that I've got. Not just the camper van, but everything else. But I've literally been sorting stuff out all day long and packing and sorting out the wheels and all of that. It's nearing about 9 o'clock, coming up to 9 o'clock now, and I'm about to embark on my new life. So I've made it into maybe 5 miles into my journey, and suddenly I heard a noise, followed by the smell and sound of an overheating radiator, and I found that the alternator belt, the fan belt, has come off. I thought it might be broken, but it's not, so I should be able to put it back on and tighten it. So just typical though, all these months of driving this thing, not a problem. As soon as I actually go to leave, there's a problem. So basically the fan belt here has jumped off the alternator, so I'm going to have to slacken it off and put it back on and tighten it up. Bit of an inconvenience. The fortunate thing about breaking down near your friend's house is tea cakes and tea. Okay, so that's back on. I'm going to have to wash my hands again, so... But never mind. I think the belt on it must be quite old and stretched, because I've pulled the alternator as tight as it goes, and it's still quite slack. It's enough to keep it spinning, but I wouldn't be surprised if I have to do this again tonight. I hope I don't, but of course I'm going to get a new belt when I can. I don't seem to be having much luck tonight. I've just climbed out the van and I've bashed my head on the wing mirror and cut my head. Oh, goodness sake. I think the petrol station's closed and the fan belt has just jumped off the pulley again. And it was as tight as I could make it. Oh, goodness sake. This is really not what I need at the moment. Well, I've come to my parents' house because I wasn't too far away, Gonna have to call it a night. The fan belt is broken. For some reason the rear lights aren't working at all now. I've got the front side lights, the headlights, full beam and dip beam, and I have brake lights. But rear lights, no, just stopped working, don't know why. And now I've got this great big gash on my head. So all in all, the first day, not so great. Well, here I am in my camper. Since I've got my bed actually set up in here, I thought I'd stay here for the night. So I've got my plaster on my head, so I'm all patched up now. And the first day of my travelling, I have made it 1 mile from where I was living. So tomorrow morning I'm going to get a fan belt, one that will fit, and then try again. Anyway, thanks for watching everyone. I'll keep everyone posted and see how things go. I'll see you next time.